Hello there, World of Tankers, and welcome to the channel. I'm of course your host, Droodles Blitz, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about a new Japanese Tier 8 premium heavy tank that is very soon going to be entering testing, and then into maybe your garages, depending on how much Wargaming makes the vehicle cost. One thing I always try to pride myself on this channel is getting the newest, most reliable information out as fast as possible, and I doubt you've heard about a Japanese heavy tank called the Type 57 anywhere else. When a new tech tree line is introduced into World of Tanks Blitz, Wargaming usually tries to bring a premium or collector vehicle that is very close, the same nation and playstyle, into the game around the same time to get more people buying the tank and as well grinding down the line. Good examples of this would be the Skoda T27, that is a Tier 8 Czechoslovakian premium medium tank, and we also have the TVP line that was introduced around the same time. We also have the 60 TP and the 50 TP prototype that were also introduced very short time frames apart from each other. And that is exactly what we can see here with the Japanese heavy. The Type 71 is a Tier 10 Japanese heavy tank that is currently in testing, and it will most likely be in the game as a full-fledged line within the next couple of months. It will be the next tech tree line added into the game. And that is where it brings us straight on point for today's video topic on the Type 57, a Japanese premium Tier 8 heavy tank. Just like the Skoda and the 50 TP prototype, we should most likely see this vehicle introduced either at the same time as the Japanese heavy tank line or before it. I'm not sure because sometimes Wargaming gets delayed on their balancing and they have to rebalance them. We've seen that happen a couple times with the Emil 1951 specifically, but it still should be around the same time frame that we do see the Type 57 introduced into the game. I do want to point out that there is a 99% chance that this vehicle will be sold in crates. I don't think there's been a single new Tier 8 in the past year or even 2 years of Blitz that has been sold outside of gambling. I'm not sure if there will be charms for it. I can't confirm or deny that yet, but I can definitely say that if you're expecting to get your hands on this tank or you're interested, please be warned that it will be very expensive to get your hands on for the first time around. Now that we have covered the basics of when this tank should be released and how you're going to be able to obtain it, I do want to point out that the statistics I'm going to tell you are what this tank should be like in speculation. Obviously, when Blitzhanger gets the statistics out, I'll make an updated video letting you know everything you need to know, but I thought I would get this video out early so you guys have an idea of what the Japanese heavy Tier 8 is going to look like and how it's going to play. When we take a look at the actual tank, it's got a very weird profile. The frontal armor looks really strong on the upper plate. In fact, it's such a steep angle that if you're just using 1 or 2 degrees of gun depression, I bet you'll auto ricochet any shells in the game, even heat shells. I mean, that upper plate is incredibly angled and steep. However, when you do that, that means you have a very big lower plate. The lower plate is actually really weird though, because you'll notice, yes, the frontal part of it is quite large and easy to penetrate, very similar to that of the size of an Object 252. However, it also has angled cutouts on the sides of it, which mean that you will actually have some very weird bounces on it, depending on what angle you're looking at that lower plate. And speaking of angles in general, that lower plate actually has quite a steep angle at it because it goes quite far back into the hull, which means that it could actually be decently thick, maybe 200 plus millimeters. You never know what Wargaming's going to throw at you. You might think that it's balanced like a 252's lower plate, and then whoosh, a curveball flies at your face, and it turns out to be a 220 millimeter thick lower plate like the Glacial 112. So I don't know, but I do think that it will be a very big weak spot on the lower plate, and also I think a very big weak spot is going to be those angled cutouts. Sure, if you're aiming at your opponents on flat ground and you're only dead at them, yeah, the angled cutouts are going to be impervious because of the angle they have. But at that point, you just shoot at the lower plate. What I'm thinking is that when you pull around a corner, that angled part is actually going to be very easy to penetrate because it's flat facing towards you, kind of like a pike nose. So I'm not sure how the side armor is going to be, but when we speak about the side armor, side scraping capabilities look absolutely amazing. You can't see it here in the pictures I have, but the overall side of the tank is slightly angled at probably around a 15-degree angle. So that'll be really good for getting bounces when you side scrape, but as well, you'll notice that instead of having spaced armor like Object 252s and other Russian heavy tanks like the IS-7, the side armor on this tank is just flat angled armor. It's incredibly angled though. I'm not sure how thick the effective armor of the side of the tank is going to be, but what I can tell you is that if Wargaming makes it anything decent, those sides are going to auto-ricochet an insane amount of shells. Not only is the tank going to be great for side scraping, but if you're just aiming flat at the side of this tank and you shoot a little bit too high or a little bit too low, those angled sides are going to easily ricochet the shell and shove it right into the air or right into the dirt. And here's the craziest part about this vehicle. Its armor looks very similar to that of Russian heavy tanks, but what is one thing Russian heavies do not carry that usually balances them a lot? Gun depression. IS-5, 252, IS-6, all of them have almost no gun depression. However, you'll notice the roof of this tank's turret has a bulge sticking out. Now, the reason turrets in real life have that is because the inside of the gun barrel sticks actually into the tank where you'd load the shells. And when you want to give the vehicle gun depression, it would actually stick into the turret if you tried going down too much. So the reason that bulge is there is so that you can get more gun depression and it would just go into the little cutout on the roof. Which means, to my mind, is that this vehicle will be very similar to the Type 71, sitting at maybe 8 or 9 degrees of gun depression. If that's the case, you can imagine just how strong this vehicle will be with its hull-down capabilities. The upper plate is incredibly angled, so you won't penetrate the upper plate anywhere. And when it comes to the turret, I'm very confident that the hatch will be almost impossible to hit when using its full gun depression. And as well, the turret itself looks extremely robust. It's rounded, and it's pretty similar looking to an AE Phase 1 with less of a turret cheek. And at Tier 8, I am very scared to be seeing what this tank is going to be like when it gets introduced into the game. When we take a look at the gun on this tank, especially the muzzle brake, it looks like quite a large brake, and pretty similar to that of Russian 122mm. So my guess is this vehicle's either going to have 400 damage or 420 a shot, with some terrible dispersion, terrible aiming time, but pretty decent penetration, very on par with the other Russian heavies. I really can't imagine it having anything too special, especially judging that it's got such a crazy armor profile on at least paper and looks, and as well an insane looking hull-down turret. When we take a look at the Type 71, it is quite a large vehicle. I was actually really surprised when I got one of them on my team and I saw just how large the vehicle is. I would say on dimensions-wise, it's about as long and wide as a mouse. Obviously not as tall, but yeah, the Type 71 is an absolute massive tank. So this vehicle, the Type 57, I'm not sure how large it's going to be, but I would guess that it's also going to be quite a large vehicle, judging how large the Type 71 is, and they're both Japanese heavy tanks. But even though the vehicle is so large, it also has a top speed of 50 kilometers per hour, at least in testing. So I'm not sure how fast the Type 57 is going to go, but if I had to make my best speculation, I would say anywhere from around 35 to 45 kilometers per hour. I cannot see this vehicle having a top speed of 50 kilometers per hour. That would be absolutely broken. So I'm hoping that it only goes at a max of 40, maybe even 30, because this tank's got, it seems, gun depression, alpha, and incredible armor. And when you add all that together, it makes a beast of a heavy tank, at least on paper. So if it also has the mobility, yeah, this tank is one scary looking opponent to find on the battlefield. But this is all just speculation. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video, as this took a lot of effort to compile for you guys, get all the information, and contact my mods, so hopefully you enjoyed all this. But if you'd like to see more like this in the future, because I'll be posting another new tank tomorrow, and another new tank tomorrow, hopefully you stay tuned. But other than that, I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.